What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 10 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Count Noctilus Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, Noctilus completed the hunt for Black Burke of the Bleak Coast Buccaneers, and doing so acquired another piece of 8, unlocking the Regiment of Renown of Mourngul Haunters and leaving, I believe, 2 pieces of 8 remaining, as well as the 2 Sea Shanty Lost Verses. We're certainly getting there. We have our short victory objective having been completed, and are well underway to completing the long victory objective as well, so we're certainly there. Probably appropriate, as it does seem that interest in the campaign has at this point started to wane a little bit. We haven't reached the engagement threshold, unfortunately, and I'll do a little bit of a couple of episodes sort of grace period, wherein we'll still do the long episodes, but afterwards we'll head down to the shorter half-hour-ish episodes instead. Though we will probably start heading towards the end of the campaign, as, well, I always did say that this was going to be a shorter campaign than we normally do, so it shouldn't be surprised. It's not like Noctilus, without painting the map, it's one of those sort of sandbox, screw around, do what you want campaigns, which I've certainly been having fun with, but the direction, let's say, is limited, especially once the sea shanties and the pieces of 8 have been acquired. But anyway, in terms of what we gotta do this time, Noctilus is, as somebody pointed out, apparently got 11 levels in a single battle and is now maxed out at level 50. Probably some kind of interaction with the type of battle that we had on the massive experience gain bonus from profit, at least I would assume. Anyway, now that he's level 50, he does have Mentor, and we should probably take advantage of it in order to level up the other lords, and we'll do so by moving down the coastline, looking for Balthazar Gelt, and then starting to move back this way. When I played Aranessa, the third sea shanty guy, I forget the name, Baron von Heasty, spawned like out here somewhere. He spawned very close to Sartosa itself, so we might be able to move down here and then meet him where he spawns, though I can't guarantee that he doesn't spawn in different locations every campaign. Anyway, Noxus, I'd like you to besiege Citadel of Myrmidia, and I'd actually like you to break siege rather than sack it again, simply because you sacked it last episode. And, well, we got a Vampire Cove, or Pirate Cove there already. Looks like some High Elves are heading towards us. Let's see if they're... Ooh, they got 4 Lothern Skycutters, yes. Those guys are pretty darn nasty, though it looks like the army itself will book it on out of there. A bit of a shame. Can we still... We can still move to besiege the Circle of the Sun here, and I have to wonder, what if we spend the turn besieging it? Maybe Herieth will be... It depends on which of them moves first, but maybe they'll attack us together, which would be pretty nice if they were willing to do so. So we'll give them the chance. If they don't, then we'll sack Circle of the Sun next turn and then just keep on moving. Why not? I'd love to fight both armies at once, especially since I have a healthy fear of Lothern Skycutters, as they are very nasty units. Ariane Stand. Somebody pointed out that we might never reach Albion because we just keep getting distracted, and I will admit, Harry has been distracted Harry has been distracted for quite a while moving up the coastline, and I don't know where it ends because we could just keep on going. There's still lots of coastline to go, and then we could just head down the River Reich and then go through all of this coastline if we really wanted to. What I do know is that there is a crazy garrison here with 2 Royal Pegasus Knights, tons of Knights of the Realm, questing Knights, tier 4s, tier 5s, basically stuff that might destroy Harry's or Ares' army, and thus I'm excited to actually try and fight it, and so we shall. Just in case, we'll do one of the special bloated corpses here. We could get another boarding crew as well to replace the one that we lost, but considering this is a battle that we may not be able to win, maybe the bloated corpse would come in handy, although I also imagine it wouldn't be super useful against the against knights and all that, but just to see it happen. Now, we have Damned Reliquary and we have Lizard Trinkets. Lizard Trinkets does a gaseous demise high damage thing. Engage the melee. I think the other one might do something that doesn't damage allies? It doesn't say anything, does it? Bunch of damage, to be honest. I don't remember what each one does. We only have 1 out of these, and then we have 2 out of these, so maybe we'll do the Damned Reliquary one. Oh, this one says no friendly fire. Yes. Alright, let's try this one. Might actually be worth it. I know it's stupidly expensive at 2.5k, but just to experience it once. You gotta try everything once. Anyway, the point that we still have, let's put it in Curse of Years here. I am extremely wary of those Pegasus Knights, and we gotta be able to deal with them, though unfortunately we don't have a crazy amount of mana either, so there is that. You, the Empire Fleet Captain, you do have 2 points available to you. I don't think anything you have here would actually help in any way in terms of the buffs of units. We could get Deception just to get you to hit harder. Or we could, well, Kraken's Pull is very nice, but, I mean, I guess we could have 1 point in Kraken's Pull. You know what, let's get 1 point in Kraken's Pull and Earthing. There is still a decent likelihood that we... Well, you know what? Actually, I lied. 1 point in Kraken's Pull, 2nd point in Fog of the Damned, as it is one of the spells that we are actually quite likely to use, similar to Curse of Years. The same kind of goes for Wind of Death and Curse of Years, but let's go Drown Dead and max that out for this. You, Johnny Vole, you are going to max out Scupperum, as you are still doing plenty of damage on all those Carronades, and Ariane Stand, you will besiege this. I guarantee that they will sally out, because that's a damn good garrison and a solid pile of additional units to move in with. I mean, I guess we could build some towers and such. It's not that we expect to use them. All right, Ari, keep on getting distracted, bud. Maybe he's named Handstand because he just keeps doing handstands instead of whatever it is he's supposed to do. Anyway, Maddie, you're gonna move to Achaeus.
Strike now, crewmen.
Like so. And let's see if Colt of the Pious is going to run away. He is not going to run away. Oh, that's beautiful. What we are going to do here, however, is we're going to delete the Salt Lord Scuttlers because they're a regiment of renown of deck droppers with bombs. And what I would like is for them to be in our flying army. So we got to get that on. We got to get that cooldown started. Billy Bloodletter, you're going to join the army and be the 5th Gunnery White. Yes, it is an insane amount of Gunnery Whites, but hopefully once they all start throwing bombs around, they'll fit in with this army quite nicely. Let's give them points before we fight, as presumably we will have to fight here. We have 4 artillery pieces, so we can still do benefit from Scupperum, or we could take the 5 points and ooh, we also have tenacity here. We are losing a lot of money. It's not like this army is anything crazy. You know, let's do tenacity and then let's do 2 points in Scupperum. And hopefully the ammunition won't be too big of a deal for us right now. Tenacity for you, and you are so close to Pyromaniac. Let's get you, I'm going to say, the bonus range and damage. I want to see what heights we can take those blunderbusses to. We also should be maxing out Sharkbait in this particular army, as the Gunnery Whites here are acting as tanks, more or less. Anyway, all hands fire, Cackle Fruit, and I'm going to say probably Enchanted Ballistics, as we have enough already doing Dead Eyes. Yeah. All right. What about you two? I wish you were a higher level. Yeah. The big issue with recruiting them from Noctilus's force is that for whatever reason, the game is designed so that he doesn't benefit from all of the bonuses when you recruit lords and heroes at higher levels. So they're recruited at basically basic levels, whereas everybody else is recruiting them at rank like 15 or 18 or whatever. It's a little bit of a silly design, but what can you do? These guys will just have to level the old-fashioned way. All hands fire, I think, before Cackle Fruit, because we're looking to do as much damage with these guys as possible. Alrighty, and oh, Maddie herself. You got 2 points. You have maxed out the important stuff, unless I'm mistaken. Technically, you do have a Necrofax, so the Hardened by Death is still beneficial to it, even if it is just 1. And we do have the Altars of the Abyss. Fine. We'll get 1 point in Hardened by Death. And yeah, by taking the Salt Lord Scuttlers out, we wouldn't need to put points into Haunting Horror as well to buff up those units. Anyway, Tenacity as well, and did you have to? Oh, you don't. Never mind. Never mind. Anyway, Maddie, you gonna fight now? And Pyrrhic Victory. These guys do have some units. Is this a minor settlement or is it a normal settlement? It is a field battle. Fantastic. Alrighty, here we go. Big old pile of Imperial units or Southern Realm units versus our improved Corpse Gas Spewer army. These things are going to get stronger and stronger with the new additions of the gunnery weights. Just got to level them up a little bit and see what heights we can take them. Plus, there is another added benefit of adding all of these gunnery weights to this army, and that is to continue buffing up the Gallows Giant as its flamethrower hits harder and harder and harder. We're up to 8.3k damage. Obviously, it's a little bit deceptive since it's a fire or a flamethrower, but I am plus. Wait, the fact that it has a +4, 8.8k +4 from Deadeyes. Anyway, I'd like to see what kind of damage this thing can do to single entities. Unfortunately, we only have the enemy lord here, who I'd wager is not going to have an easy time actually moving towards us. But oh well. And it may be a dark map, but it's not so dark that we can't see the textures properly. I like it. I like it a lot. I also like seeing those Wraithstorm Carronades fire over the Gallows Giant here. Anyway, speaking of the Wraithstorm Carronades firing away, they are going after the enemy Pistoliers or whatever cav they can, each one essentially targeting a different unit. Mostly because it's a lot more effective to target enemy single entities, followed by enemy cavalry, than it is targeting infantry with those Wraithstorm Carronades. They're mostly here to slow things down for the flamethrower units. And ooh, hello, there we go. The Corpse Gas, no, not the Corpse Gas Spewers. That was the Gallows Giant. Hits one of the units of Pistoliers, takes off about half of the HP that they have. Let's get another couple of us. Ooh, there we go. Corpse Gas now combined with the flamethrower, and that unit of Pistoliers is done. And by the looks of it, over on the right flank, the same thing has happened to another unit. Beautiful. Alright, how's the enemy lord looking? Pretty bad by the looks of it. In fact, just about done for as the Wraithstorm Carronades continue to snipe away at him all the way across the map. These things have a heck of a range, after all, with all of the stuff that we got them. And ooh, it looks like he is taking a tiny bit of damage from the Wraithstorm itself and will get brought down. These things really remind me of the Screaming Skull Catapults in some ways. If we could get some Screaming Skull Catapults, that might be decent. And, oh, there we go, another hit from the Gallows Giant and the Corpse Gas Spears. This is a heck of a hill to try to make your way up to. It does look like we are starting to take a little bit of damage on the zombie gunnery mob bombers, but every enemy that gets in range of the Corpse Gas Spewers gets absolutely annihilated. There we go. And while they do have enemy range, and the enemy range for now does outrange the Corpse Gas Spewers and the Gallows Giant, I'd wager it's not for long. If we have plus 10% range on every single one of our gunnery wights, which we eventually will, I believe that we'll have the exact same range, or at least close to it, as enemy handguns and crossbows, which means we won't have to worry about trading shots, or, well, actually, we will be able to trade shots rather than taking a lot of shots as we move towards the enemy. That's the plan, anyway. Anyway, the enemy infantry, though, well, they can't get close enough for any shot trading to do. Gallows Giant continues making its way forward, getting that flamethrower out, and probably doing at least a decent bit of damage. It might actually, with the extremely high damage that it has now, it might actually be better at killing off single entities than blobs of units. Of course, anything it hits will get obliterated, but the area of effect isn't huge on the Gallows Giant's flamethrower. Now we have other flamethrower type units to do the work with. And yeah, this is absolutely horrifying. This enemy army has no chance. This is kind of the ideal army for our own army to face off against. And we can summon some zombies in the way, and it looks like the flamethrowers don't care about the presence of those zombies and will be happy to obliterate them together. Which is exactly the thing we want. Just a couple more volleys, and by the looks of it, the battle will be ours. Oh, is that another full HP unit? Which was using the hills for cover. Good for it. Not so good anymore, of course, as I don't know where they were going. In fact, it looks like they don't know where they were going, and most of them are going nowhere anymore. Oh, lovely. Oh, wow, that poor man. Alright, and I do believe that was the last of the enemy units. All that remains is shattered. And the battle is ours. A nice way to start your corpserific day. All right, there we go. A absolute slaughter of the enemy. You got to love flamethrower units. They are just so fun. And the first unit, the one that the enemy was closest to, got 708 kills and 76,000 damage. But yeah, these guys are now essentially super buffed by the number of gunnery wights in here, and will continue to get more buffed as the gunnery wights gain levels. I'm interested to see what heights we can take them to. And there's a few more adjustments to be made in the army as well. Still 400 kills and 37,000 damage on the Gallows Giant Necrofex Colossus, so well done, Maddie, burning everybody. As usual, we will set up the Pirate Co here. Like so, and then I assume we can't go back into raiding. Now we're going to have to encamp. Alright, that's fine. That's fine, and hopefully these guys, yeah, they'll gain a few levels. Powder wet immediately, and let's try to get to Lucky Spyglass as fast as possible before going through Cackle Fruit and all that sort of stuff, just because I would like to see the massive amount of range on the corpse gas spewers, and the damage, of course, but everything together, I guess. But yeah, there we go. First Pyromaniac available. Now you can apply burning to the enemy, so that's more fire damage, and you're not quite there, but you'll get there, sir. Yeah, let's go through Always Ready. We have the important stuff here by the looks of it, unless I'm mistaken. Oh, I didn't check tenacity on some of the others, which I definitely should have, but too late. Start with the blunderbuss. You're all going to get blunderbusses, and hopefully these Dragonfire handguns to apply the fire damage and flammable effect as well. Potion of Speed, Pirate Cove established, great, and we're gonna do the same type once again, go for that Pirate's Rest, as we still don't have enough hero capacity for, I think, gunnery wights. It's mostly gunnery wights because we put them pretty much everywhere. Alright, oh, you know what we could do? I forgot to do naming any names, I think, last episode, or maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but let's do a couple now at least. Alright, let's do Call of the Waves for one of the Abyss Altars. What about the Depth Guard here? Now, let me just try to recollect. You two are probably not going to stay in this army. Reapers of the Drowned Dragoons. Okay, you're not named, and okay, we'll name you, but these two will not name, I guess, because they'll be transferred or deleted depending on how that goes. But we'll name you the Sanguine Tide, like so. And we'll have one more of those guys, plus the Regiment of Renown, of course. Yeah, alright, anyway, we'll leave the Depth Guard alone for now, and we'll do a few of the other things. How about some of the Batwing Bombards in the Artillery Army? In fact, you should be able to move now, so please do. You guys aren't named, and yeah, you're the ones that are high veterancy, so let's do you. 1,000 Wing Salute, as well as Briny Battery. Like so. Alright, Carronades, let's do one of these as well. How about Aurora Necropolis? I'm spelling everything right here. Alrighty, ooh, more crab names. Oh man, I got a lot of crab names. Okay, fair enough. I can see why there's such fun units. Okay, so we have Serpenter Deathly Hermits. Let's do... I have a Sinister Snips and a Citizen Snip. Okay, fine. We'll do Sinister Snip. You know what? I like Sinister Snips. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do it on some of the Altars of the Abyss as well. I like the fact that they're a duo here. Citizen Snips and Sinister Snips. There we go. Alright. And I know some names are... I just wrote down crabs and just all the crab names together rather than specific crab types. Anyway, the Clawford Brothers and you. Stop stealing my lunch. Alright, good. These two will not be named because they're going to get deleted and replaced by the rotting Leviathans, which we'll put in later. Anyway, as soon as we can. You know what, while we're naming these stuff in the Artillery Army, let's do you. Wailing Whalers is named. Let's do, how about, Pew Crew. Well, I'm just going to refer to as Pew Crew, because I'm not saying that every time, that's for sure. Necrofixes, I think we're out. Leviathans we're waiting on. Ooh, Deck Droppers and Animated Hulks. I haven't named any of those so far. Let's do some of that before we see some of the Animated Hulks in action. Mama's Boys. Okay, I did indeed name you. Okay, good. Shark Baits. Ogres. Can't spell today. I can't spell at all today. Ogres, my lord, and a seafood special. All right, good enough. And then let's do some of the deck droppers before we go on, which are in this army. All right, and deck droppers have about, I don't know, let's do pistols, jacks, sparrows. Now let's do acrophobia for the bombs. And then handguns, let's do guano gunners. And, oh, for the love of, I clicked somewhere else. And I hope I'm spelling everything correctly, but whatever. And then crow's nest, dead shot. Dead shot. Yes. All right. There we go. All right. That's good enough for now. that was a fair bit after all. All right. Area, you're stuck where you are. 2 toes. Still moving up this coastline, annoying the heck out of these guys, but we're not raising anything. I'll let this faction live. You can't really be pirates if everything's destroyed, so we're not looking to do so. There needs to be societies to actually raid and all that, so I think that makes sense. Ooh, hello. There's an actual army here. You know what? I was gonna raid, but that kind of makes me concerned. What if Khalida attacks us? Let's move close to the place, and we'll see. Although it's not anything crazy army-wise, but who knows? Khalida's main stack could be just right there, and I think she has a chance to ambush you, so I'd rather not risk it. At least not right now. Burke Black. You could stop by at Tanea and then raise it. I kind of don't like the idea of you getting too far away from Noctilus, but nonetheless, it's free XP, free money, etc. Go sack Tanea and then move out here. Queekwell. I don't see a Queek. I'll resolve and just sack it. A little bit of cash, a little bit of XP, go back into raiding, and then keep on moving back this way. Oh, lovely. Now, after all, we only have 10 turns left to profit, and we damn well should take advantage of it. O-Bones McDonald with the artillery. This army, frankly, stands absolutely no chance against the artillery army, but it remains to be seen whether the auto-resolve understands that. Despite the fact that the enemy runs... Yeah, it still says Valiant. But yeah, that's the problem with making the artillery army. I might have to... I mean, let's be real here. Bess is doing 90% of the work for the range, and maybe we could just take out a couple... we could take out a couple of the regular mortars, give their names to Batwing Bombards, maybe get another regular Batwing Bombard in here. Get a couple more... maybe... Colossi? I mean, they act as artillery. But anyway, I guess we'll fight this. See the poor little army absolutely obliterated from range. Go. Alright, here we go. Admittedly, I would have preferred to probably auto-resolve this one, because I imagine the enemy army has no chance whatsoever, but, well, it's still always nice to see our artillery piles fire away as they do. Textures are a little bit wonky in this one, and everything doesn't turn black, but it is kind of shadowed. Huh, interesting. I don't know. Some maps, man. Some maps. Anyway, here come the Batwing Bombards. This is such a freaking entertaining unit. And I have to hold myself back from building them in every army and allowing other units to shine, which is by and large why I've been building the Wraithstorm Carronades, because I like them as support units that don't take up a crazy amount of the kills, except against single entities. But those giant blobs of bats... I might put like six Batwing Bombards in some army just to see them all fire at the same time, because it's so entertaining. Not that 3 isn't entertaining already. Look at them go. And it looks like a bunch of them will hit the enemy lord here, who probably won't take too much damage from that, but will melt away by the looks of it, or at least something was there. Was that a single knight? I don't know what that is, but it's dead now, and same thing goes for the enemy lord, as expected. Yeah, I think that was the enemy lord. I think during the explosions of all the Batwing bombards, the enemy lord just melted away under handgun fire. And by the looks of it, the enemy infantry is failing to move towards us. One unit of pistoliers has slightly managed to close the distance, but the deck gunners and one of the Necrophex Colossi will gun them down as well. Not like these guys aren't easy to spot with their pretty garish color scheme here. Ooh, but they do match the sort of flowers in these fields. Good for them. And soon they'll match other flowers, the red ones. Alrighty. Anyway, with that, by the looks of it, the enemy army is in the process of shattering. No infantry unit came even close to us. I think they didn't even cover half the distance, but that's hardly surprising against Bess and against all of these artillery. And just imagine being on the ground below while this happens. Beautiful. Alrighty, with that, the battle's ours. Easy, a little fight for our artillery. Yeah, free Razor Standard. We'll certainly take it. Yeah, absolute slaughter. I feel bad about using this army. I really, really do, though it is entertaining to watch, admittedly. But I will say this. We're Vampire Coast and we just hit these guys in the sea. Lamentably, this game doesn't have naval combat, but if we pulled alongside an enemy transport ship with our own ship and all the guns obliterated it, destroying it long before the enemy could do anything about it, that's what it would look like, essentially. So, is this army really all that unfair, I ask you? I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, for now, we'll ransom those captives. Still need that cash, since we're losing just crazy amounts per turn. And a free Siren, and this army obviously does not need that Razor Standard. That's going to go to one of the melee-focused armies. Also, was that a bat for you? Yeah, stand the rotting Prometheus. Oh, does this stuff... Huh. And not black powder plenty, I just want to see something here. Not this, and not bomb throw, not enchanted ballistics, this, dead eyes. Effect range 50, affected units, affected allies, okay, yeah, no, but stand the rotting Promethean, because if something actually charges us, this army will definitely be in trouble. Yeah, I'm just remembering the, what were they called? Not the Castellans, from... Yeah, you know what, go on, well... We can just land here at Tobaro, or can we? I guess we'll find out. The Demon Smith Sorcerers from the Chaos Dwarfs from the Drazhurath campaign. And the thing that they had or didn't have going for them was that they had to be on the ground to get an effect from the buffs that they gave to artillery, which is why I wanted to double check whether this guy being on a bat would be, well, bad for him, or for us, I guess. So, yeah. Also, you want to upgrade maybe cannons so that we get the Norse Roar. More guns, essentially. It feels the appropriate thing, like an appropriate thing to do. Who else still needs to move this turn? Charlie Wake. I'd actually like you to sit perfectly still and wait for this ship to come to you. And just like the last time, we don't know what's in this army. If I knew, it would completely determine whether we send Charlie Wake's still rather untested army after him or not, but I guess we'll see. Anyway, Cat Sharp and the Ghosties. Dibs on the name. And with Cat Sharp, that's a pretty solid name. Wait, was Cat Sharp a... No, she's not a legendary admiral. I like the name. Marianne Oxenfurt, you're obviously going to get these Salt Lord Scuttlers when you can, and also you're going to be replaced by Trusty Monford when he's back, but for now, move northward. And I know we don't have a lot of the regular Fellbats, but frankly, they're not super useful to us, I'll admit. I'm I'm kind of tempted to replace them with a couple of Batwing Bombards. Why? Even though they'll be the only ground unit, which is kind of iffy, what they would allow us to do is to summon explosive bats as part of this army. So, and there is certainly something to consider. The other option would be to have them as a follower army with just tons of regular bats and Batwing Bombards. Might be a neat idea. Not that we'd need it, but anyway, Sam the Clotter, you're going to grab this island, the Sea Corpse right here, before heading southward with all those animated hulks, and oh, I just remembered something. Wait, approach a carcass, auto-resolve. Alright, decently evenly spread out damage, good, I like it. You should heal in our own water, I think, so take the money? Yes, we're about to find out. Hopefully you heal in our own water. It'll be disappointing or unfortunate if you don't. And no, you're fine. Alright, Siren and Free Fencer's Blades, which probably we're going to put on the Morngul Haunters. Anyway, for now, go this way. You are most definitely going south. Yeah, what I remembered was you had a unnamed Necrophex Colossus, didn't you? Yes, the last one. So you can be the unsinkable. Like so. There we go. Now all of them are named. Alright, who is up next? Charlie, no, not Charlie Wake, I already moved you. Tommy Woolsey. Who are you? You are a enchanted ballistics kind of guy. Or ballistics calibration kind of guy, rather, and you're going to join O Bones McDonald. Treasure Hunters. I think there were a couple diggy holes that we have reached. So, let's see what we have here. You are... where exactly? I think it's here in this forest, unless I'm mistaken. At least I hope so. Guess we're about to find out. And a Kraken Tusk. Hello, Frostbite attacks. Now that's interesting. Free Tide Call and free melee attack. That was a nice find. From the Horde, eh? Okay, well, finally some use. Yeah, I feel like they all should provide you items, shouldn't they? Am I wrong? I don't think I am. It would be nice. It would be more of a reason to actually bother with us. It's not like we've dug up so many over the course of the campaign. It takes a while to get there. And then the other one is right here, where you are headed towards. Right here, right? Wait, is it... yeah, maybe you can land here. Might make you a little bit closer. Alright. That's it for you two. That's Treasure Seeker. You were supposed to go down this way, trying to find some allies for us. There should be a vampire faction here. Yeah, you. Ghost of Glan Boreal. Now, the main issue with you is you're probably gonna get killed by these guys, although you... oh, wow, these guys have reached tier 5. I do like that. What I don't like, though, is that they have a recruitment of Mortis engines, they don't have Blood Knights, but, well, Mortis engines alone are nice. They aren't super willing to get into an alliance with us, and probably wouldn't do it for the Carcassonne thing either, though. Gonna be hard to get allied units at this rate, but we'll see. I mean, other than Rikarth's. Rikarth's been good to us. Other than foolishly declaring war on us at some point, but he learned his lesson. He doesn't need to be taught it again, at least I don't think so. Anyway, I think with that we can end the turn, unless there's critical buildings to be built, but I don't think there are. I think, in fact, we did them previously, maybe? And then all this stuff will be transferred away, but just build up the haunted hovels before we transfer it. We might still be able to use it for bait against the Skaven and see if we can't catch Deathmaster's Snitch. Please take Cabreros. Let's find out if he does. Alright, you know what, probably... okay, in fact, there's pretty much a guarantee that we will get attacked, and Ariane Stan's army, and they'll attack Noctilus's army as well. Beautiful, this is what I wanted. The 3 stacks to attack him at once. Pyrrhic Victory, medium casualties. Lothar and the Sky Cutters, tier 4 units, stand against us versus our own tier 4 Necrophex Colossi, who will come out ahead. Both are pretty nasty units, and we use the Lothar and the Sky Cutters to insanely effective degrees in the Himric campaign, so let's see how they do. Alright, here we go. Looks like a Chokepoint battle, somewhat surprisingly, but there's really not much we can do about that, as in, we can't really take advantage of the Chokepoint here, so we're probably going to move out. Anyway, now, we have Lothern Skycutters, which are pretty crazy awesome units. Unfortunately, look at the accuracy of our Necrofex Colossi. They can't even really hit the Skycutters up here. Every single shot sails on by. And this is every single one of them firing away at them. All 7 Necrofex Colossi, counting Noctilus. I don't think a single shot has landed on any of the Lothern Skycutters at this point. Ouch. Yeah, well, that's a waste of time, clearly, so we're just going to move forward. Obviously, the accuracy will increase as we get closer to the enemy, so we'll try to take advantage of it. Plus, I suppose it's time to rush the High Elven army with our depth guard, rather than waiting for the reinforcements of Imperial's Golden Order to arrive. Alright, continue marching forward. We're even getting the enchanted ballistics reload skill and accuracy buffs on the Necrofexes, and they still can't really do anything to the Skycutters. The big concern here is, even at close range, if they're not able to do anything, we are not going to easily be able to take those things down. Alright, let's see. Every single Colossus has moved a little bit closer. Alright, 10% damage. Not too bad. It's something. Losing our, real artillery, our normal artillery, certainly puts a damper on knocking certain targets out of the sky like this, and without the carronades that we normally would have to snipe these things. On the bright side, it looks like at least if we get close enough, we can at least land a few shots, and that was with all 7 Necrofex Colossi firing at 1 unit. So we'll deal. Anyway, time for the depth guard to do the work. Oh, I love when they speed up on the charge, smashing into the enemy lines, and those rangers are gonna get torn to shreds. It's twin blades versus twin axes, but the light armor versus the heavy armor of the depth guard. Or it looks like heavy armor, but it's more like medium armor. But anyway, I believe they have AT armor standard, though we do have them bumped up to, what, 105 with the, or 110 rather, with the Altar of the Abyss. Anyway, the enemy infantry are going to get absolutely trounced long before the reinforcements arrive, but we will continue taking lots of fire from those Lothern Skycutters, and I'm sure they will be racking up damage. They're already at 4k damage, and doing pretty good. Alrighty, looks like the enemy did manage to loop around us, hitting some of the depth guard in the back with some of those Illyrian Reavers, and that's probably not going to go so well, because Illyrian Reavers versus depth guard with polearms is not a good matchup for the Reavers in question. Although it was a hammer and anvil type thing, the Lothern Seaguard trying to hold back the depth guard. We'll see how that works out for him. Fog of the Damned comes down on a blob just below Noctilus, so he could show off in the sort of fog, and it does look cool, admittedly. Just taking a quick look at that. Plus, the accuracy reduction will... wait, actually, out of curiosity... so the fog is only on grounded units, so it doesn't even do anything to the Lothern Skycutters. I was hoping to reduce their accuracy, but I didn't read the tooltip of the Fog of the Damned in order to check whether it was whether it would apply to air units as well, or only ground units. Only ground units, apparently. Oh well, folks, that's why you read spell tips. Anyway, looks like we're finally getting sufficient damage on the Skycutters. Our Necrofex Colossi have in fact stopped helping against the enemy melee as the depth guard clean up, and are just trying to fire away at those Lothern Skycutters. We have done decent damage to them now, though it's taken, what, 4 minutes of non-stop bombardments since they've been attacking them since basically the start of the fight. And ooh, it looks like this one has landed for some reason. Quick, kill it. And this is probably the only one that will have lost units. Yeah, it's at 3 out of 4. And this one's still at full HP, and we'll have to deal with it, but our depth guard will start working on the reinforcements, which is 2 stacks of Imperial infantry. And artillery and whatnot. Keep plinking away at them Necrofexes. It would be neat if they changed the way that Necrofexes work, and ooh, that one looked like it hit. And it certainly did. There we go. Nice. If it would be cool if they changed the way that the necrofexes worked a little bit, where you could essentially choose what kind of artillery they had. Like you could have mortars on the back, or a single target sniping carronades here, or I don't know, etc., etc., etc. Because I do feel like it would make sense to be able to have multiple types of loadouts on the necrofexes, and there are some mods that give variants of necrofexes, but I decided to go with this mod instead, as it didn't seem too overpowered. Which it clearly hasn't been, so I'm happy with it. Anyway, let's see. The Imperials have arrived with some of the... Oh, wow. The Morgul Hunter, at least, is having a lot of fun, while the Necrofexes were busy with the enemy Skycutters. And we could get a lot of splash damage out of our Morgul Hunters, who always do pretty darn well. 78 kills on this guy and 13k damage. Very solid. Gotta love those things, and I'm excited to see more from them in our newly acquired Ghostly army. I'm gonna get a little bit of damage from our Necrofexes at the enemy by providing support fire for a little bit, since these guys have all lost about 50 to, I don't know, 25 to 50% of their HP over the course of the battle, mostly due to the Skycutters firing on them. Though I suppose it might have been a better thing than them firing away at the Depth Guard, who are definitely needed to work their way through the infantry here. And here we go. Time for the line of Necrofexes to advance, using their mass to break through the enemy infantry and allow the Depth Guard to push further into the enemy formation. There's still plenty of Imperials to work through, and rather than wiping them all out with the Wrath of Aminar, which we absolutely could have done, popped it in here, everything would have been dead. But I didn't feel like doing that, so I just decided to use it on a single artillery piece and this artillery piece as well, because I mean, it's kind of pointless to chase these things because they're right beside the edge of the map anyway, so might as well wipe them out with spells, and I'll leave the actual infantry and stuff to our own army to actually fight. Seems like the way to do it, doesn't it? Alright, a little bit annoying that one of the Skycutters has come back and is still firing away at us, and ooh, Noctilus has actually reached his healing cap as well. Not so great. Really needs that Spell of the Necromancer's Apprentice Ancillary to give him more healing and ward save. I'm really hoping that you can actually put it on a Noctilus and it doesn't have to be given to like an infantry unit or something, which would be a little bit unfortunate. Oh, there we go. Very, very nice. Big old stomp from Noctilus's Necrofex. And it does... I love the ragdoll physics. Units flying away. It looks like a unit of Hellblasters. Oh, that explains why Noctilus has suffered so much damage. The Hellblasters have been focusing him down. He has a big old walking target up there, and Hellblasters are extremely scary units. Very solid artillery that is good at pretty much everything. They function in killing droves of infantry, droves of cavalry, and droves of sniping single entities as well. You gotta love those things. But unfortunately for the enemy, the single Hellblaster was not enough, as the Necrofexes and Depth Guard clear the last of the enemy missile and melee infantry alike, and then will run down whatever they can. Frankly, they've now closed the distance with the Hellblaster, and I don't think they're getting away from the twin axes of those Depth Guard. And not to worry, we're definitely getting another army with Depth Guard. I want to increase the numbers of twin axes in this army, and then we'll do pike and shot with the Depth Guard with polearms, so that there is presence of both types of Depth Guard. Lovely. Anyway, yeah, those Hellblaster units are done for, and I'd wager a lot of the enemy army will get chased down. The great thing about Noctilus's army is that, unlike some of our other armies, I wouldn't say many of our other armies, this army is extremely fast-moving. 50 to 63 movement speed on the Depth Guard, and then the Necrofexes are very fast as well. Plus, we can slow the enemy down with our two Morgul Hunters with that chilling aura, and they're not escaping by and large. All right, there we are. Very nice battle. I do notice that it doesn't say the amount of XP gained, but presumably we are still gaining tons of XP on the heroes and transferring XP from Noctilus. At least we should be, and I hope we are. Anyway, we are going to have to auto-resolve the remnants of these armies next turn, and unfortunately, as we saw, the dismal accuracy of the Necrofex Colossi means that we really couldn't even hurt the Lothran Skycutters, while they can certainly hurt us. So they were mostly alive. Yeah, so we'll have to replenish, and that's what we'll do here. And we'll sack the place next turn. Alrighty, Lokir Felhart. Oh, you don't like us now? What the heck? Really? It's dropping a fairly considerable amount. I guess we should have just declared war on somebody, and you're gonna cancel your trade agreement, which is a shame because we needed all the trade we could get here, as our money is in a bit of a state. Clan Eshin wants to peace out. No. You're afraid to try to retake those territories that we took from you. Now, why would we bother? And hey, it looks like we will get attacked by King Kawatamun. Alright, looks like he thinks he's going to be able to deal with Tuto Zadly. He doesn't have it anywhere near the kind of chariot spam the previous army had, but he does have other constructs, including Necropolis Knights, Spokal Stalkers, and Ushabti, and decent numbers, as well as even a Hyro Titan. That's pretty interesting. Good luck to you, sir. Let's fight it. Alrighty, now a bit of forewarning. This battle went a little bit weirdly in the sense that I figured, well, you know what, this map has only essentially one good location where we can deploy, which is to the side of this to this plateau over here. It does mean being close to the edge of the map with at least our backs, at least not in the corners, but which I wouldn't normally do, but you know, on the rare occasions where the deployment is such that there's only one hill on the map, and that hill is beside a plateau, and that's the best location by far. So that's where I decided to deploy. Plus I figured, well, the enemy is attacking us, right? It's an end turn, so they'll have to move towards us. So we'll set up here and wait on this nice hill for the enemy to move towards us. We will, of course, potentially get flanked here, and they can still move like this. But that didn't work out, in the sense that the enemy army decided not to, in fact, move towards us for some reason. And sometimes the AI does seem to get bogged down, where despite the fact that it is technically or should be the one attacking, it just decides not to do it. So in the next, let's say, couple of minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to annoy the enemy with our bound army abilities, Wrath of Aminar and Tomb Swarm and such, in the hopes of getting them to actually move towards us. Once again, I don't really understand why they don't, while they don't attack us here, and if anybody can explain it to me, I would appreciate it. Alrighty, I decided to do a little bit of a cut, as it was taking, let's say, quite a while for the enemy to actually bother moving towards us. Decided to send a gunnery wight who used up all of its ammunition, annoying the enemy by firing at it until the enemy was finally ready to move, which it looks like it finally is. So, they have moved, we've moved forward as well. We've left the cannons behind a little bit, but moved the rest of our army forward, TNC bit as well, and hopefully the enemy finally decides to charge us. Gonna have to reposition our units slightly because we no longer have the plateau defending us quite as well as they were before. Anyway, the targets for the Wraithstorm Carronades will be the enemy single entities, i.e. the two enemy Tomb Kings here, and they'll keep volleying away at them, though by the looks of it, not for a crazy long time, as one of them is down to 20% of its HP, and the other one is down to about half as well. Working decently well already, and by the looks of the enemy army has moved in range of the deck guns, which will begin to fire now or shortly. Now. Alright. Huh. Okay, yeah, we can't hear them. I was worried that this battle was broken and they wouldn't make a sound. Sometimes it does that too. But they're definitely firing away slowly for now, as there aren't a crazy amount of targets, but that's alright. Tomb King 1 is down, Tomb King 2 about to fall, and then we can switch targets to other single entities, including that Hyro Titan. Still the coolest looking unit in the game. Gotta love Hydro Titans. Anyway, the enemy probably doesn't as much because it hasn't really gotten too much mileage out of them so far, even while having them. Anyway, enemy continues approaching us, but rather slowly by the looks of it, as it looks like it's trying to keep pace with the slower elements of its army, which is a pretty big mistake in this particular case, as A, we can slow them down more, and B, we have a lot of weight of fire coming in from our deck guns, even before the enemy reach the other sort of guns, like our handguns and our hand cannons. There we go, the Temple Guard, or Tomb Guard rather, finally make their way closer. Sepulchral Stalkers are moving in as well, though we can't see them as yet. They just need to get a teensy bit closer, and we'll be able to see them as well, and gun them down, unlike the Stalkers and the Skeleton Chariots over here. And it looks like they've moved in, and ooh, do get a volley out into one of our units of handguns. We best be hitting them back immediately. And we can summon a few units to get in their way as well. Few zombos. Alright, definitely a bit of a weird fight. And, ooh, it does look like some of the enemy Necropolis Knights have made it through and decided to flank us, but they will, of course, be held off by our rotting Promethean gunnery mobs. It's Necro Serpent versus rotting Prometheans. Pretty cool mounts for the two little units to face off against each other, but we're tanky and there's no way that the enemy makes it through these guys. Regardless of which variant of Necropolis Knights, I think the gunnery mob should be able to hold them off just fine. Frankly, the entire army is in pretty bad shape. They do attempt to loop around us with a few of the chariots, skeleton chariots, on the left flank, and they do make it towards our handguns here, but the handguns and the hand cannons rather, and the rotting Promethean gunnery mobs will simply pin them in place, and it's not going to be any issue, I'd wager. And just a little bit longer by the looks of it, as the battle is very much going our way, and in fact it looks like the enemy army is beginning to shatter and melt. They did lose a decent bit of their number while we were annoying them from a distance, but admittedly most of the enemies that were destroyed while we were waiting for the enemy to attack us were things like Tomb Guard and Skeleton Warriors and such. And let's face it, none of those would have actually ever reached our lines. And they would have been too fragile to do so anyway, so I don't think it would have made too much of a difference anyway. Anyway, last of the enemy units will melt away, having been unable to reach us. You can still see those Wraithstorm Carronades up on that hill, and they did have a pretty good firing position, which is why we set up there in the first place. And there we are. A little battle is ours, heroic victory. Definitely some weird behavior by the AI, but what can you do? Alright, I don't know what the heck that was supposed to be. They attacked us, right? Didn't they? Shouldn't they have actually, you know, tried to attack us? Well, I guess they didn't, and the AI was being weird that time around. But well, what can you do? It happens sometimes. We're just gonna pretend that battle didn't happen, because as far as I'm concerned, wherein the AI actually tried to do anything, it pretty much didn't happen. So, yeah. Anyway, let's see if anybody else attacks us. Somebody hopefully properly attacks us at that, and ooh, Ikit with 3 armies run around here. I forget, were we able to get him to attack the Wulfric? I think not. And now I noticed that Rakarth has now moved away from Cabreros and is still not taking it. Oh well, Lewin wants peace, but we're not going to do it. Instead, we're going to let him sally out with this very, very nice stack. I'm very excited about this one. This one I'm sure will not be disappointing. Royal Pegasus Knights X2, Blessed Field Trebs, tons and tons of knights, and as we remember, the various units of boarding crew struggled against Marauder Berserkers, which were tier 2, not tier 3, 4, and 5. So, we shall see. Away you go once again, Eric. Keep getting distracted. Alrighty, here we go. I'm a little bit nervous as I genuinely have no idea whether we can actually win this type of fight. We are outnumbered 2-1, which is, well, something that this army wasn't designed for in the first place, as it has no sort of area of effect damage, with the carronades mostly able to snipe single entities. Plus, there is obviously the big disparity in troop quality against questing knights, Royal Pegasus knights, that sort of thing, and I'd wager the foot squires will give us a little bit of trouble as well, as they will probably fight on par, at least, with the boarding crew as well. But anyway, we'll see if it works out. On the bright side, though, the boarding crew, especially with the buffs that we have given them so far, cannot be underestimated. I'd love if we could get some Mortis engines or corpse guards with Unholy Lodestone in this army as well, as they would pump them up even further. But even with them as they currently are, they're looking pretty darn okay. For example, even without the buffs, the major buffs that they get when they get down to 50% HP, they still have 61 armor because of the presence of the Altar of the Abyss and other things. On top of, let's say, 50% missile resistance between the auras and stuff. And then, once they get to 25% HP, they get another 25% missile resistance, putting up to the maximum 75%, assuming no reductions, and then of course that extra 25 melee defense, putting us up to 75 or over. Apparently they're fading, so that's not so great for them, but anyway. Wait, why is everybody fading or diminished? Did I... Were we in a stance? Or is this something that the AI is doing? I'm not entirely sure why everybody's fading and diminished, but I guess it doesn't really matter over much. Anyway, another big issue is this. This is a Bretonnian map, and Bretonnian maps tend to be this sort of mixed copses of woods all over the entire map, and that's really not good for direct fire artillery. Nearly none of our shots are actually making it through, which is going to make this even more disturbingly difficult for our carronades and our boarding crew. But what can you do? We'll get a few shots into the enemy blessed field trebuchets, quickly knocking out 3 out of the 4, but we have to rapidly switch fire to the Pegasus Knights and the Royal Pegasus Knights and all of the Knights that are over on the right flank. The ones on the left flank are way too far. They're all the way on the other side of the map, and there's no way that we can fire at them. And it looks like these guys are still using the trees for cover, though by the looks of it, we are at least being able to knock down a few of the Royal Pegasus Knights. All 4 of our carronades targeting those units. If they land, they will probably obliterate the carronades with a single charge, as we know the Vampire Coast artillery crew are ultra fragile. Fortunately, it looks like the first unit of Royal Pegasus Knights are out, but the enemy has so many more things where that came from, including all of these knights. It is working out decently well for us in the sense that the enemy's knights are waiting to charge in for the rest of their army to arrive, or were, but it looks like they're now annoyed sufficiently to attempt to charge us, even with the enemy still on the approach. Alrighty, cannon fire and pistol fire in their way, and then of course the denizens of the deep, the rotting Prometheans summoned, are right in the way of all of those cavalry units. Half of them will still be able to charge through, but looks like we split their force in more or less half, though another one did manage to loop all the way around us like this, I guess, and charge us right in the back. Oh, that's not good. Our Wraith Storm carronades gets charged and their crew gets sent flying. We're going to have to react to this as fast as possible with our single entities, as well as our supporting units. Essentially, here come the enemies on the right, from the right flank as well. More of those Royal Pegasus Knights, and by the looks of it, oh, I like the sword through the eye on that bloating corpse. Looks pretty fantastic. I really wish there was a way to, I don't know. I wish that the bloating corpses, that they were, I don't know, some redone somehow, the way that you acquire them or something. Maybe if you lose a unit, any unit, in a Vampire Coast army, and they not only have as a tech, they might not only have the chance to come back but also have a chance to come back as a bloated corpse or something like that, because it's just such a hassle to lose these guys every battle and then redeploy them, you know, or at least increase their chance of coming back to like 50% or something, even though they are a bomb, so it's kind of silly. Anyway, we use this guy on the Royal Pegasus Knights here. He does this little Fog of the Damned effect, but the important thing is that Damned Reliquary debuff, minus 20 melee attack and defense, really would have been preferable to explode that guy in the big old blob of enemy units, but at the same time we really can't have these Royal Pegasus Knights running around in our back line, so they just had to go. The other knights, the Knights of the Realm that managed to charge right through and into our back line, are still in said back line. We summon a unit of zombies via the Face of Death on them and are attempting to get the Carronade crew the heck out of there before they get obliterated, but yeah, we're being very reactive to the enemy army now and not proactive, which ain't so great, because the vast majority of the enemy army has also arrived. The longbows and the various peasant bows are firing away at us, what looks like 5 units. And the giant piles of peasants, their equivalent of zombies, charge away at us as well. Battle Pilgrims charging on in, which is going to be useful for the enemy because they have, they're unbreakable, and will fight our zombies to the last. And of course, this is all with the enemy knights moving around in our back line and periodically charging right through our boarding crew. This is looking pretty ugly, guys, though the balance of power is still in our favor, and we are still holding on, if just barely. So, enemy lord has been defeated by Aerie in the middle of the battle. Maybe I should have put Aerie on the. Well, he did a little bit of damage. I'm wondering whether we should take him off his mount in this particular army, because well, actually no, he's a polearm wielder, isn't he? If he was sword and pistol, he'd match the boarding crew. Maybe that's what I should have done here, but whatever, all good. And the enemy still has droves of units in the midst of our formation, or in the middle of our formation. And the boarding crew are holding off the enemy peasants just fine, however, and we continue debuffing the enemy as best we can here with that Fog of the Damned, which is such a cool effect. The enemy archers have also been annoying us, so it's time to use the Fear of Aminar on them, and it looks like it'll wipe out 3 of those units, which is pretty decent. You gotta love the effect of that fog, though. Alrighty. And we are still holding. And the balance power does continue to climb in our favor. We are, by and large, while holding back the droves of enemy infantry, the foot squires and all the other men-at-arms and whatnot. Our range units and whatever units can be sort of moved from the front lines are focusing down the enemy knights. We're ignoring the peasants as much as we possibly can, using the ghost helmsmen and whatever spare units of boarding crew we have to fire into the knights, and our single units, our lords, and all of our heroes, including our gunnery wight, to target the knights as well. Ooh, nice shot from that cannon. And our carronades are still alive, still firing. Alive's a strong word, but you know what I mean. And we are still holding, and by the looks of it, over on the left flank, the terrified units of peasants are attempting to back away now. Looks like a decent amount of knights have died and they no longer have the support. Similar to when playing the undead, the AI doesn't understand that it needs to support its peasant units. No Grail relic to be found in this particular army. And that's to their detriment. Of course, a decent amount of them will come back, just as Skaven slaves and other such units would do, but the enemy's peasants aren't our real concern. We can hold them back just fine. They don't have the high enough melee attack to get through our boarding crew, especially once they drop down to 50% HP. But even before that, the peasants are having a difficult time in getting through them. Once their knights are gone, they will have no hammer to deal with Ariane Stan's army. And it looks like, a little bit preemptively, we definitely have the advantage now. The peasants watched their noble masters get torn from those horses by bullet and by claw. And by cannon fire. And I'd wager they won't have enough morale to keep holding on if this continues. Unit of foot squires is going to escape over on this side of the map. Still a decent pile of enemy peasants fighting, but the units of cav that were in the midst of our artillery are now done. And that means I think we are good. I think there's one unit of knights left on the field. The units of battle pilgrims are slowly but surely getting ripped apart. And our single entities are now able to switch to add a little bit of splash damage to the front lines rather than worrying about hunting the knights. And it looks like with that, suddenly the entire enemy army turns, and there was even still one unit of knights errant left out there. Actually, two units of knights errant. One unit of knights of the realm, one unit of knights errant. And they will run and give the battle to us. Definitely a close one, though. We came so close to being overrun. That first charge of the enemy knights through into our back line. I think that if the AI had waited a little bit longer and charged us with their infantry at the same time as all of their cav at the same time, we very well might have been overrun here, or at the very least, the carronades would have been destroyed. But because we had the extra little bit, the extra minute or so, to sort of send a few of our units back from the front lines to deal with the enemy cav that was in our own back lines, we were able to deal with them and then reinforce the front line again, which worked out for us. And now, battle isn't actually over. There were a couple of battle pilgrims, or just one battle pilgrim, still fighting. Brave, and oh wow, I was about to say we can maybe reward that battle pilgrim by raising him from the dead for his bravery, but unfortunately he got torn in half, so I guess we could revive one half of him. Anyway, with that, the battle is ours. Drunken Sailors, 308 kills, damn, and lots of damage. Yeah, I mean, considering the droves of peasants we cut our way through here, I'm willing to bet a lot of our boarding crew got a ton of kills. I mean, they took a ton of damage as well, most of them being at about 50% HP or below, so it does make sense. Let's find out how they did. Lovely fight. Ooh, alright, there we go. Got to try out our bloated corpse and did apply a little bit of damage, but more importantly, I guess the debuff, which severely, debuffed one of the enemy units of Royal Pegasus Knights. Otherwise, it was a very interesting fight where we were essentially on the verge of, or not even on the verge of, but in a state of constantly being overrun by the enemies for the entire battle. Our poor carronades spent, I don't know, like 80% of the fight locked down by enemy knights, and frankly I'm kind of impressed that they survived at all, as we were able to get the ghost helmsman and pretty much all four heroes in their way long enough, while the piles of boarding crew held the enemy off. Still does feel a little bit weird, or a little bit weird, to be outnumbered as an undead faction. And certainly some of our armies, like this one, probably shouldn't be facing off against more than one enemy army at once, but, well, we still managed to pull it off. Yeah, for more elite armies, like if we had a lot of depth guard, then yeah, sure, many armies, as many as you want. But boarding crew are tier 2, they're barely above basic troops, so definitely still have to be very careful with them. Speaking of the boarding crew, Corpse Face Core, 458 kills, 43,000 damage, 40,000 damage, and 367 on the Pittsburgh Pirates, and 39 on the Drunken Sailors as well. Massive amounts of damage on all of them, which does make sense considering the sheer amount of units we were facing off against. Let's assimilate those captives, because we're certainly going to need it. And I guess once again we'll see if anybody else attacks us. A heck of a long end turn as things came together for us to be attacked by lots of factions all at once. Anyway, hopefully, you know what, I think maybe we'll hit this port after this port, and then Aerie will set sail once again, or else he truly will never be able to reach Albion. Although he's had a pretty good time in Bretonnia, you gotta admit, done a lot of good work there, and leveled up plenty of his boarding crew to level 7 at this point. A vicious to despicable wants a non-aggression pack, but there's really no purpose for it. The greenskins don't really do anything for us. I really wish we could get a trading faction. be friendly with us, but anyway. South Confederacy wants to peace out most likely. You know what, we should probably take a look at which factions want to peace out with us now, see if any of them want to give us like another 10,000 gold for peace, because that's certainly something we'd take. And I feel like Noctilus would engage in a little bit of extortion, why not? 'Tis the pirate way. Dragonspine privateers under Furon Wavemaker. Let's see where they moved. Aha, and they did indeed move to close to Charlie Wake, but they did not fall for the... why'd you lose... What happened to your movement range? What the heck? Why did she lose half her movement range? That's just bizarre. Did something... No? I don't know. Anyway, faction destroyed, Scabby Eye, enemy killed in battle, enemy killed in battle. There's that sort of anti-hero. Zella begins construction. Talzin and Ferderic have been confederating. Johnny Floater is somewhere. Oh, it's this guy. Yeah, sure, stay on the rotting Promethean. And another forest cloak. Oh, good. Why is another forest cloak good? Because... Journey complete. Oh, good. Charles LeBron's journey complete. He's been moving for a while now. Forest cloak. Oh, we do have another Forbidden Rod. Okay, we should definitely assign the Forbidden Rod. But Forest Cloak we can turn into an Armor of Destiny. Perfect. Perfect. What does Noctilus have again? He has an Armor of Fortune. Wellity, wellity, wellity. You got something a little better, buddy. And I'm still saving our 3 Talisman of Preservations to replace 3 Black Pearl Fall Size. I really thought at this point we'd have been able to swap those out. But we still need the money. And we should also give Deathsinger to somebody, though I'm not yet entirely sure who. You know what, I'll take another look at the items between the episodes, see if I can do a little bit of retooling, and then just tell you guys about it. Next episode, rather than considering it right now. Though what I will consider is fighting this fight, depending on what's in here. Wait. And oh wow, Swords Masters, War Dance, lots of War Dancers, Dragon Princes, Hawk Riders, Star Dragon, Forest okay, that's a pretty solid stack, a pretty scary stack, eh? Would it be stupid to attack them? I don't know. Maybe it would. Maybe it would be stupid. Maybe it would be the dumb thing to do, but maybe I just can't help myself. Oh, this is a terrible idea. You know what? Let's give these guys some items. I think we're gonna need them. Now, you have no magical damage on your Charlie Wake, but you can keep the Sky Titan string. What we'll do is we'll take the Vampire Fleet Captain of Deep, and we'll put the Tormentor Sword on you. Though, frankly, we could use Tormentor Swords in various armies. Potion of Speed, and I'm gonna say Spotter's Spyglass, maybe. Though, funnily enough, it might be an actually decently useful item in their roster, but anyway. Obsidian Amulet, not really care for it. Do you have your Forbidden Rod? Oh, no, you have the Trickster Shard. Alright, we'll give you the Forbidden Rod. Keep the Sky Titan string as well. Telampovies goes to, I believe, the other Gunnery White in our main stack. You can have an Armor of Fortune, I guess you're gonna need it. Although, now, wait, you're a... You don't have a ship. Armors of Fortune go to the ship ones. A Forbidden Rod for you. Enchanted Item and Talisman. Moonshine would allow you to heal potentially. I was going to give this to a... You know, for this battle. I was going to give that to somebody else like Maddie or somebody, and I feel like I still will. I like the fact that it reduces flame resistance. Nothing except now combatants are considerably more flammable than before. Yeah, exactly. That feels appropriate. And you know what? Maybe for this battle, we'll give her the Kraken Tusk just to get the Tide Call. The Frostbite attacks will overwrite the... Wait, Kraken Tusk? Yeah. You know what, maybe we don't care about the Frostbite attacks, and it looks like the Shieldbreaker has a priority over Frostbite, so that's fine. We could also replace it with the Masamuni's Pride to get the Wind Blast. I'm concerned about this fight. I don't know whether we can win it because the... these guys have a massive amount of being able to, you know, dodge our shots, and then the Dragon Princess, if they get to our line, one charge will obliterate us. On the other hand, it should be a fight in the sea. Oh, and they'll be powered up by the fact that this is a special army as well. Alrighty, do you guys need anything? I don't want to give them these blue items. They should go to lords, and I say I haven't decided which lords. Swords of Strife are not useful for you. Anything that increases your range damage, yeah, mostly it's for melee heroes. And there are no melee heroes in this army, and frankly, there are no melee heroes in a lot of armies, admittedly. None of this is going to be all that useful. Alright, well then screw it. We're also out of time, but I really kind of hyped myself up for fighting this fight. Now I gotta do it. Let us pick a tech, any tech at all. But not really. Let us take... You know what, let's just take that spell, the Necromancer's Apprentice, finally. I've been eyeing that for a while, and I feel like we should just grab it. Grab it and go. Yeah, alright. Alright. And we're fighting Pharaon. Are we winning against Pharaon? I don't know, but we are fighting him. Close defeat, casualties high, certainly a possibility. He has the second verse, we have the first. Let's see who pulls ahead. Oh, freaking heck, they have Way Watchers as well. Oh, now that's going to be really annoying. Snipe and Stalk, they've got lots of range and insane amounts of damage. We're really going to have to try to clear them out as best we can with our deck droppers. In fact, I think the deck droppers are going to be key to this victory. If we can win air superiority, destroy these Hawk Riders and Dragons, we should be able to gun down a decent amount of the enemy melee. At least that's the plan. Whether it works out, we're about to find out. All right, here we go, Charlie. Let's see if you can get our second sea shanty verse up and running. I don't know. It's going to be iffy. That's a given here, especially as this is a much stronger army than the first one we faced off against for the first sea shanty verse, and that army was in march stance, and this one was not. So we do, however, have something of a tried and true strategy, and that's using the piles of deck droppers to annoy the enemy army, harass them all the way to our own side. Last time we were able to kill off one of the enemy, or the enemy dragon in the enemy army with the deck droppers, so it was never a threat, or the enemy frostworm rather, and we're going to attempt to do the same thing here against the enemy star and forest dragon. So that's going to be the target. Star dragon will move towards the deck droppers, which is exactly what we wanted. We're going to keep firing away at it from sort of various angles. It will give it will and can only give chase to one unit, and while it is pretty fast, and we'll still be able to bring a few of them down like so, we will be able to fire at it into its back with 4 other units, taking about 60% of its HP with concentrated fire. Of course, we're not completely winning the engagement, as a lot of the enemy range units are also firing away at our deck droppers, but it looks like this particular Star Dragon is nearly out. And ooh, nice volley from those pistols, knocking a few of those Hawk Riders off of their Hawks, and the Hawks down as well. I do like how they floated over this I don't know, tower pylon thing that they got going on. And anyway, the Star Dragon is out, though it took half the HP off one of the units of deck droppers with pistols, and the other one is fairly heavily damaged. Our units of handguns are now engaging with the Hawk Riders here. And at least one of the unit of Hawk Riders is pretty much done for and will attempt to escape, but so is one of our deck droppers, somewhat even in that regard, and more hits to them, we're just going to send them off field, or else they'll melt away. Can't really do anything more with them. The handguns are also, at least 2 of them are down to half HP, and we're going to pop a Tomb Swarm down on the Lothern Sea Guard, who were definitely winning the engagement, and due to the shields that they've got, I guess. We don't have Shield Breaker on these guys, unfortunately. Would have been helpful, maybe if we had a bat riding gunnery white. And with Shield Breaker, we can send them to follow these guys. And another nice couple of volleys into those deck droppers with handguns. We're going to have to back them off, and if they start melting, we'll send them off screen as well. Alright, so it looks like so far we've traded 2 units of deck droppers for a dragon and a unit of Hawk Riders, which is pretty good. And it looks like the other unit of Hawk Riders is following the other unit of pistol-wielding deck droppers. The 3 minutes that we've been in the fight so far have also seen the enemy prince continuously focused down by cannon fire and is now down to 10% of his HP, but is not shattered. Gonna try to return our handgunners to our own army, as the enemy army is now sufficiently annoyed to move towards us. The first targets are obviously going to be the enemy dragon princes, as they're extremely scary units. And they're a lot easier to bring down with handgunners than the shadow dancers of Loek are. Well, war dancers, whatever. As these guys are, for whatever reason, for their hidden stats, they can shadow dance, I don't know. They're difficult to hit with range fire, and even when they do get hit, they are a small number of models in the units, so they are fairly difficult to bring down. Anyway, here come the enemy. We're going to summon a unit of zombie pirate deckhand mob in front of them here, zombies on the right. And it looks like some Azrae spears will get through and will charge towards our zombie pirate gunnery mobs. But that's alright, these guys can hold them off. At least to some degree, and we don't care that much if they get destroyed, which admittedly they probably will. Nice shot from those handguns into the swords masters, which are our next target. Easier to kill after all than the other units. And down goes the forest dragon under concentrated fire from the handguns. All right, swords masters are done. The balance power has shifted to about 80% in our favor. Our heavily damaged units of deck guns are backing off because they can't fight the Lothern Sea Guard, unfortunately, even with the 45% missile resistance that they have, because they have no armor and they also have no shields and no way to get through the enemy shields, at least not easily. On the bright side, the zombies are still holding off those units of Azrae war dancers. Scary though they may be, they're wasting those spears on those zombies, and not more critical units, not the ones that are actually doing damage to them. As expected, the zombie pirate gunnery mob has been obliterated here and is melting away, but hardly surprising, as they were never going to stand up long to a unit of Azrae war dancers, or Azrae spears. And we do summon the unit of Rotting Prometheans, the Call of the Deep, on top of the enemy war dancers, and they will hopefully hold them off while we delete the rest of the enemy units. And by the looks of it, this strategy is paying off. The Lothern Sea Guard and the last of the enemy units that are still on the field, the supporting archers, the Way Watchers, the Lothern Sea Guard, are all going to break as their melee units are destroyed. And with that, the enemy army is defeated, and the second verse is ours. Lovely. All right, that worked out pretty decently well. Heavy damage to our deck droppers, but they served their purpose, even having sacrificed one of their number. Had to sacrifice one of our units of zombie pirate gunnery mobs to hold back the Azrae, but otherwise it worked pretty darn well. Beautiful. And of course, this army doesn't have veterancy, doesn't have a lot of buffs as yet, so it will get stronger, and we'll see what it can do as we go. This is our handgun-tastic army, and I want to see what heights we can take these handgunners to. Ooh, all right. It looks like we were able to pull that one off after all. The second of the Sea Shanty army, certainly much tougher than the first, and that cost us one zombie pirate gunnery mob, and we took severe damage on all the deck droppers while fighting. One of them had to flee the battlefield, and the rest were all on the verge of dying as well. But they provided lots of value by harassing the enemy army before they got to the handguns. And of course, the handguns in this army, you gotta remember, and I guess all the gunnery mobs, are extremely nasty due to the two special ancillaries that we have here, giving us an extra, I want to say 25% range and an extra 25% missile damage, armor-piercing missile damage as well. Still, let's see, the enemy did survive with a decent amount of units. Hopefully we can auto-resolve what remains here. But either way, we did acquire the second Sea Shanty, and then there was one. Alright, Rotting Promethean for Connor Kelly and Isabella Engel, sure, good for them. Berserker Sword, and there's that Lost Sea Shanty. And we've already given this a read, but not this. Oh, ye look at the sea, from the mists comes something mighty. Now that we have the ocean so slow, put the sails away and prepare to row. For the monster hunts and its prey should shiver, ever since the vortex went to quiver. Oh, right, a vortex. Harkening back to Total Warhammer 2. There we go. Second verse gain. Now we just gotta get Mr. Von Heasty to spawn, and presumably we can auto-resolve what remains here. There we go. And very well done to Charlie. Definitely earned these victories here. Certainly wasn't expecting at all for this army to be the one to have been taking these guys on, but it worked out nicely. Let's get that zombie pirate gunnery mob that died back up and running as well. Lovely. All right, and ship's necro fell bad for Johnny Floater. He's the marksman, and this. Yeah, he could be on the bat, and this guy could be on the crab. It all makes sense to me. All right, skipper, and we're good. All right, with that, folks, we are out of time. I think that was 6 or 7 battles in this particular episode. Quite a lot, basically. And, ooh. Okay, we'll deal with it next time. Quite a lot, basically, and we've got plenty achieved. Next time, we keep moving the new armies to where they need to go. Unfortunately, they can travel a fair distance. At sea, these two are both on the way to Albion this time, while Aerie completes his whatever he's been doing here before going there. Or we could just leave him there and start wandering all the way down here and grabbing the coastline. Who knows? He'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll see. More Noctilus to come, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.